All right, well, I think we're ready to get started for this Sunday for the Ackland Art Museum's very first virtual Family and Friends Sunday. My name is Lindsay, and I work in the Public Programs Department at the museum. And typically when we're in the museum, we love to have an art-themed story time for our afternoon with family and friends. And we are inspired by the exhibition that's currently on view, Yayoi Kusama, Open the Shape Called Love. And we are going to be reading a wonderful book. And by we, I mean our summer intern, Carrie Young, who we are very excited to have. And this is her first time leading part of our virtual programs. And so I know she's so excited, and I am going to turn it over to her. Then after she reads the story, I'm just going to wrap up and just tell you a few more things about the activities that we have on our website, www.ackland.org, for your family's pleasure to explore this afternoon or anytime in the future, really. So handing it over to you, Carrie.
Hello, and thank you, Lindsay. My name is Carrie, and today I'm going to be reading Yayoi Kusama Covered Everything in Dots and Wasn't Sorry. And this book is by Fausto Gilberti, who is an author who's written 10 other books, which I know I'm going to check out because I've been reading this book about every day since I got it. So, my name is Yayoi. I am an artist, and I'd like to tell you my story. I was born in Matsumoto, a historic city in Japan with a beautiful castle. I have always loved drawing more than anything else in the world. When I was a little girl, I carried a sketchbook with me wherever I went. I drew everything I saw. I would sit in the meadows between the flowers and plants and see things around me that other people didn't. I rushed to draw them in my sketchbook before they disappeared. And if you look closely, you might see a few things that I know I've never seen in nature. Like, I don't know if these are eyes or a different plant. I used to dream of becoming a famous artist. I longed to fly away to other countries where artists were doing exciting new things. So when I grew up, I decided to leave Japan. My mother didn't want me to go, but I was determined to make my dream come true. I got on a plane and flew to America. I arrived with a suitcase full of drawings and some money I had hidden in my shoes, but the money soon ran out. With nothing left to buy food, I went to the market to pick up scraps. I would find fish heads and cabbage leaves that had been thrown away, which I used to make soup. At least it was something. There she is, arriving in America. And there are her yummy fish heads for soup. I lived on my own in an apartment where I painted day and night. I painted hundreds and hundreds of dots onto large canvases. The dots often came off the pictures and ended up on my dresses, tables, and walls. But I wasn't sorry. Each dot was part of thousands of others. They made me feel like I was a single dot that was part of our infinite universe. I was making lots of paintings, but I was poor and alone. I don't know if you guys agree, but I kind of think this looks like what my wall's turning into. One day, an elegant lady came knocking on my door. Her name was Georgia O'Keeffe, and she was a famous American painter. I had written her a letter asking for her advice on how to become a successful artist. She wanted to know how I was and offered to help me sell my artwork. She introduced me to her art dealer, who immediately bought one of my paintings. Wow. There's Yayoi and there's Georgia O'Keeffe. I continued to paint a lot of pictures, and soon I was ready to put on my first solo exhibition in New York. It was a success. I had more and more exhibitions and more ideas for new works. I made soft cushion shapes, which I used to fill rooms, boats, and shoes and cover couches, armchairs, and hats. I covered bags and dresses with dried pasta and filled rooms with glittering balls and lights. There she is with her pasta shirt. It looks like she used penne. Wow. And there she is with her glittery balls of lights. I created mirrored rooms which reflected everything over and over again. Can you guys tell which is the real Yayoi? I think it might be that one. I also organized performances that I called happenings, where I covered people's bodies with dots. It was a pretty daring thing to do at the time. My art was starting to get noticed and written about in the newspapers, so I decided to try to change the world for the better. I organized a happening on the streets of New York to protest against the war in Vietnam. I covered lots of men and women in dots, and they handed out leaflets with messages of freedom and peace. But it didn't last long because the police came and arrested me. Sorry, these pages are sticky. As soon as I was released, I started working even harder than before. I held other happenings, I made films, I published a newspaper, and I created unusual party dresses. Some had big holes cut out of them, and others were made for two people to wear together. I know I would like that. I would put one on me and my dog, and then we could wear a dress together. I even made a huge dress that could be worn by as many as 25 people at the same time. I loved creating all of this experimental art, but there came a time when I had to stop because I became unwell. I left New York and went back to Japan to get better. Back at home, I saw the beautiful mountains and the cherry trees in bloom, but a lot of things had changed since I left. The meadows and streams that used to inspire me to draw had been built over, and the cities were filled with smog. This made me sad. Then, one day it snowed. The snow covered everything and transformed the landscape, turning it into something pure and beautiful, just how I remembered it from when I was a girl. I found a studio near the hospital I was staying in and started working. Creating art made me feel better. I also began writing. I would paint during the day and write at night. I think this is my favorite illustration. Although I miss New York, I decided to stay in Japan. It's where I still live today. And I still work nonstop making paintings, writing books, and designing clothing and other objects. And the other thing I love to make is pumpkins! I've always loved pumpkins with their beautiful shape and sweetness, and I want to show all the love I feel for them through my art. I also like to cover them in, you guessed it, dots. You won't believe it, but I picked up a pumpkin when I was a child and it talked to me. My artworks have become really famous, and you can go now see them in many different art galleries and museums around the world. My dream has come true. And there she is with the talking pumpkin saying, you did it! And that's the end. And here she is once again with her beautiful orange hair and her dots. And there she is on the back with her pumpkins again. I don't know what fruit or vegetable I would cover in dots, but I think pumpkins is a pretty good choice. Thank you all for listening.
All right, thank you, Carrie. That was fabulous. And we loved learning more about Kusama and what inspired her. So after hearing that fabulous story, if you're interested in learning more about the artist and the exhibition on view at the Ackland Art Museum, we have lots of artist videos. You can go and listen to our curatorial assistant take us through a brief snippet of the exhibition, which is my Zoom background behind me. And there's lots more out there online from our other museums across the world as well. She has her own museum in Tokyo, Japan. So there's a video that we've linked to on our webpage where you can check that out. She's a fabulous, interesting artist, one of the really influential women artists of our time right now. And I will throw a link in the chat to the calendar event should you want to go and explore more with your family and friends this afternoon. And these resources will be up for a while. They're not going anywhere. So the craft activities, everything will still be able to do in the future as well. We are going to be planning to continue these virtual family and friends Sundays throughout the rest of the summer. So I hope you enjoyed our story time with Carrie, and be on the lookout for future events. We also do a virtual version of our Art Adventures class, art making class for children ages 6 to 9. So if you or your family member is in that age and interested in joining our teaching artists and learning more about art and the Ackland, those summer dates for June, July, and August, registration will open in a few days' time. So be on the lookout, catch us in the e-news, and check out our website for more up-to-date kids and family-oriented virtual programs. Thanks so much for joining us today, guys, and I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday. Thank you.